going to be our focus, and specifically we're looking at what PTF is saying about the need for risk communication and community engagement. But before we do that, government policy, communicating government policy appears to be the the main focus and mandate of NOAA. How has that been, have you undertaken that since 1st of March 2018 when you assumed the duty?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers. Let me start first by making a slight correction. My appointment was on 26th of May 2016, not 2018.
That was what we got on the NOAA website.
So there must be a mix-up there, so apologize and definitely will correct it. I think the National Orientation Agency is one of the most important agencies of government. And by the law that establishes that agency, it has a very broad and cross-cutting mandate, some of which you were able to capture in your introductory remarks. Most importantly, that of communicating government policies, programs, and activities, engendering the evolvement, creation, sustenance of a democratic society, a disciplined society with correct social values, achieving development, growth, and all other sense of fulfillment that nations would aspire to. The National Orientation Agency has a three-tier structure. There is a headquarters, which is domiciled here in Abuja. It has offices or directorates in all the 36 states, and we have presence in all the 774 local governments. Now, it has directorates. We have two key directorates that are involved in the communication of government policies, programs, and activities. First directorate is the Director of Public Enlightenment and Mass Mobilization. Now, there is the directorate in the DG's office, which is called State Liaison and Special Services. Now, that one actually coordinates the flag of programs that happen in the headquarters so that they are cascaded down to the states and to the local governments. Now, how is this achieved? We have usually a broad platform which we bring stakeholders to talk about policies, programs, and activities under what we call communicating government policies and objectives. Now, that is a broad theme. Under it, different stakeholders, MDAs, that are taking specific policies and programs that should be of interest to the public, are brought to speak on such policies and programs. Such a program is replicated in the states, and where it becomes necessary, we replicate these programs in the local governments. Now, why do I say where it becomes necessary? Because there are issues involved in communicating the programs in the local governments. The essence is to get the information to the people in the language they do understand. With a messaging strategy that will resonate with the people. And therefore, in doing this, you have to also bear in mind the cultural, the traditional nuances that will influence how such communication is being taken to the people. Now, the National Orientation Agency prides itself as one agency that speaks all Nigerian languages. How? Why? Simply because our local government mobilization officers, what we call the COMOs, are sourced from that local government. They are sourced from within the community. And therefore, they are nuanced, or they are entrenched, in the values, in the culture, in the tradition of the people. This is a deliberate policy, because when you are communicating to the people in the language they understand, and especially by people they see, as their own, the level of the credibility level of certain information becomes higher, because they see the messenger and the message as one and the same thing.
So with this structure you have outlined, it appears NOAA is well positioned.
Absolutely, we are well
communicate
positioned
to the people.
We are well positioned.
So from the outset of COVID-19 and up to now that government has been trying to contain the virus, how has that communication been done by NOAA?
I think this about what I can say, the uptime time that I have appeared on the NTA platforms, and to explain our level of involvement in the COVID-19 thing. First and foremost, even before the index case was reported, the National Orientation Agency was already on the field, synthesizing on our usual seasonal sensitization. We were already in the field sensitizing on Lassa fever. Do not forget that there are certain diseases that are seasonal and or they are that happen during particular seasons. Immediately after the harvest, during the commencement of the Hamatan season, and the rest of them, this is the time when the Lassa fever begins. At the peak of the hot season, that is when we have incidences of meningitis and what have you. And the National Orientation Agency actually has a calendar, that it has developed, so that when this season begins, or end of the seasons begins, it goes out into the field. The NOA was already on the field when COVID-19 started. So when the index case was reported, our first response was first to build capacity. What do we understand by that? We that are supposed to go into the field and to tell the people, because at that point a lot of information is coming in, about the nature of the disease, its symptoms. Then we were almost like at a loss. This is a symptom that is very similar to the symptoms we are telling people about Lassa. So how is it different from the Lassa fever? What are we going to do differently from what we are telling people to stay against Lassa fever and the rest of it? So what we needed to do at that time, immediately after the index case was reported, was to get ourselves equipped with the correct information. So we organized a broad-based capacity building involving all our partners, because we needed partners at that time. Traditional rulers, religious leaders, civil society, NOAA staff themselves, the relevant MDS, and we invited the Center for Disease Control. And the Center for Disease Control took the whole day, taking us through all the symptoms, all the manifestations, what we need to do. At that time, there was only one reported case in Lagos. What we need to do, and when we go to the field, what we need to be telling the people. So at that point, what we started to do and continue to do up to this moment we are talking is, whenever there is the need to change the narrative, to change the messaging, to improve on it, we develop it in our own way of doing it. We send to Center for Disease Control for baiting, because it is always correct to go to the field with the information that is coming from the experts. Ours are is only to communicate.
Okay.
The experts are the ones to give us what to communicate. So they give us content, we also go to communicate. So this is how we were able to build a partnership, how we were able to build a partnership with religious leaders, with traditional rulers, with civil society that are working in different areas of health, with the Center for Disease Control itself, and then with the respective state ministries of health in the subnational units, and with the primary health care councils in the local governments, and the NOAA officers that are out there. Okay. So this is one of the first response that we actually undertook.
Okay, let's fast track now to our present reality. From Kudu's introduction, he talked about PTF's latest development of Monday, about 689 local government areas out of the 774 are already concentrated with the virus. Now,
at least they have one case.
One case. That is 20%, half of the virus, half of the country. About 20%. Yes, okay. Now, from what you're saying, NOA already has a structure established in terms of sensitization, and you were quick to take action. But in terms of this virus, we know it's a novel virus. And we have seen people flaunt orders of these guidelines to safety and all of that. I was even at some communities this morning, and here in the FCT, let's not even go to the grassroots. People are not even paying attention to face mask or, observing the normal rules. What is NOA doing about that? How concerned is NOA?
We are as concerned as the PTF, as concerned as the World Health Organization, as concerned as every other person who actually wants to remain safe and to keep others also safe. But let me start by saying that don't make any mistake about it. What you see in Abuja, what you see in Lagos, what you see in Port Harcourt, what you see in Kano, is exactly what you see in the remotest part of this country. Total disobedience to the protocols. This is the report that we get from the field. This is the report that we get from the field. I give a typical example. In the cities where there is at least some slight fear that people might be made to abide by the protocols. At the very beginning of the lockdown, when the issue of masking becomes actually the issue of the day that was being hammered on every now and then, ordinary taxi drivers, what they do, you will see them with the masks hanged in their taxis,
and it's shared.
And when passengers come in and they ask, and they don't have, he brings the driver brings out from where he is hanging and the hands. There cannot be probably a greater risk and a greater breach of the masking protocol than this.
Yes.
You find it in buses, you find it in taxis, you find it even in saloons. Now this is one problem. Now, how do we do this? Is it for lack of understanding? Is it for lack of knowledge about the COVID-19? On the scale of 1 to 10, I will tell you that the National Orientation Agency and the formal media and the informal media, or what I can call the conventional media and the social media and the NOA and the PTF, on the scale of 1 to 10, have all collectively succeeded in making up to 95% creation awareness as far as the citizens are concerned.
So what is the
There is no part of the country today that you go to that you do not hear people talk about COVID-19.
So you have awareness but no compliance.
There is total awareness. In fact, if you have a child of 5 years, for example, that doesn't go to school, and you ask him, boy, why are you not in school today? He will say, Corona. They sing it in their own rhymes. They joke with it. They know about it. Now, as therefore, the problem is not about lack of awareness. Sufficient awareness has been created. We have already passed that stage.
What about behavioral
change?
change?
The stage we are in now is about the stage of behavioral change. But even that of behavioral change, even the stage we are now of behavioral change, we have to also align it to taking of personal responsibility. I have to take personal responsibility for my safety by ensuring that I maintain all the prevention protocols, and in so doing I also guarantee the protection of the other person who comes into contact with me or with whom I come into contact. But when I refuse to take personal responsibility, I am endangering myself as much as endangering the other person that comes into contact with me or with whom I have come into contact. Now, this is one messaging that is now being consistently be taken. And we in the NOA are like pastors and the imams. We are just like pastors and the imams. In what way are we? We are like pastors and the imams in the sense that for everybody knows what actually you are a Muslim, you are a Christian, you know about the harshness of hell, and of course the pleasure of paradise. Yet, you need to be constantly be reminded of what you do or what you must not do in order to either get into hell or you go to paradise. This is what we keep doing. In fact, at the moment, I can even proudly say that probably we are the only people in the field. If you go into many states in this country, we are the only people in the field. You can cross-check. Taking this information consistently, in fact, to the point of being bored by the local community. But then, beyond taking personal responsibility, there is something which I think we must do, and the NOA is planning by way of its own Nobel sensitization drive, citizens' involvement. If we are to engage citizens, then we also have to involve citizens.
Are you thinking of engaging the survivors in your campaign?
This is one of the strategies which the media is doing, but which this one will be better handled by the media than by the NOA. Because I have seen the NTA do that, for example, where you find survivors, you interview them, they talk about their experiences, and of course about the reality of the disease. But what we are still saying is that this is only to bring to the knowledge of the people that the disease is real, you know, for those who are living in denial, that the disease is real and that it can kill, and that even if you, but it is also a disease that you can survive if you are able to first observe the protocols so that you stay off it. But even if you are not able or you are unlucky not to escape it, these are some of the things that you can still come out of it alive. And that's all. Now, I think the media is in a better position to do that, better than the NOA. Now, what do I mean by citizens' involvement? Not this time. We are the ones who are engaging. But what do I mean by citizens' involvement? This is very key, very important. How do we involve citizens? Go to the markets. Go and meet the leadership of the potato or paper sellers. Go to meet the leadership of the market. Look, we have this as a reality. How can you, in your own way, using your own structure, ensure obedience? In your own structure, ensure your own obedience. Muhammad Kudu Abubakar, in your own estate, how do you, as members of a member of a residence association, in a particular residence or a particular estate, how do you ensure that some of these protocols are observed by all residents in the community, in that particular estate? Your children, your housemates, your security men, your drivers, your own members of your own household. I think by the time you begin to involve citizens at individual and groups and the community levels, you begin to make the differences. Now, how do we involve the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers so that they will know that there is more danger in the taximan hanging the mask in his taxi and giving it to one passenger that comes in and takes it back, when the passenger drops and then gives it to another passenger that enters? How do you actually ensure that you use your own structure as leaders of a group or of a professional or a tradition or a trade association to make sure that citizens begin to take personal responsibility and you begin the capacity of your own institutional behavior? I think these are some of the things that we in the National Orientation Agency are beginning to do. And of course, it's going to be very taxing, we have seen, but this is what we have started doing and we will continue to do.
Citizens' engagement, how are you going to use that to go ahead and implement the PTL's suggestion on risk communication and the community engagement?
Yeah, but this is precisely the point, Muhammad. Now, the PTF is saying that even though our testing capacity is not as high as it should be, but if you go by the exponential growth in the number of afflictions and then the fatalities, you know that we are not out of the woods yet. We are not out of the woods yet. But then, we have therefore a situation in our hands where citizens are sufficiently aware about the disease, but they are also in denial, in breach of the protocol.
Yeah.
How do you strike now the delicate balance between being aware about the disease and at the same time, ensuring that you stay safe? That you stay safe. Now, doing this involves all the issues I have now highlighted. One is citizens' involvement. Let citizens as individuals, at group levels, at professional levels, at trade union levels, at trade association levels, begin to make their own protocols and to observe them. That is one. That way, you begin to know, you share responsibility so that it does not become government's own affair. Because this is a pandemic. And much as government has the responsibility to protect life and property, citizens themselves also must take the responsibility to also remain alive. In other parts of the climate, in other climes, what we have seen, there are even countries that are enforcing fines.
Should we get there in Nigeria?
Of course, if we must have to get there, why not? But we have not gotten to a point where we begin to enforce sanctions.
But you just told us that people are in denial, so we may have to get there.
We may have to get there, but this is something which must have to be thought through, looking at the implications of that.
But how long will this thinking through take place? Because from what you're saying, people are in denial. And let's not forget the fact that even if you want this citizens' engagement to be effective, it may work in the urban centers. But the concern and the fears of the PTF now is communities. That's where the highest numbers are coming out from.
We have
people must meet.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we are saying. That's what we are saying.
So should they take it to the communities?
The point is, yes, there is massive awareness everywhere. The figures are also now becoming very worrisome because the community affiliation in the local community is actually growing and growing exponentially. Now, how do we take this? How do we take the messaging in such a way that we can contain this issue? Now, you see, when you have a disease like this, that is novel, you know, and you have so much flow of information about it. If you go to the social media and you see the amount of information on COVID, you know, perhaps it's unprecedented. You know, you open the newspapers, you know, even our religious groups are not actually unanimous, you know, on the nature and the reality of COVID-19. A number of traditional rulers are not or a great deal of our traditional institutions are not unanimous on the nature and the reality of the disease.
That appears to be a challenge to Noah.
Now that appears to be a challenge to government and to everybody, to the entire country. It is a huge challenge to Noah, but it is a challenge to the whole country. And this is why I'm saying that much as government is doing the best it can to take the information to where it matters most, citizens must have to be involved. Citizens must have to be involved. But why must citizens be involved? Or why are citizens not involving themselves? Why? Is it because we have not seen people falling dead every other day? I personally, I am aware of the disease. I know how deadly it is. I have suffered personal losses from COVID-19. I have suffered personal losses from COVID-19, and therefore I can take personal responsibility. That is why wherever I go, I wear my mask. I wash my hands with soap and water. Now, we have this challenge. In the local communities where there is even the problem of sufficient water, what is no one saying? We talk leadership. You know, ash. This common ash. Ash is a cleanser. It is cheap. It is available in all homes because at least every household cooks. At least every household cooks. So why the individual tells you, I don't have the money to buy a mask, or I don't have the money to buy soap, or I don't have the money to buy sanitizer. You know, you engage them in the use of ash. Just rub ash on your hands from time to time. It cleanses.
There are
many communities that we have done that in some communities in Plateau State, and it is working. Now, and this is because we have to also find a way of taking the messaging in such a way that it resonates with the culture and the traditions of the people. When the lockdown started, you know, and it coincided with the commencement of the rainy season. In many communities in Nigeria, the commencement of the planting season comes with certain cultural practices. Drumming, eating together, dancing, you know, bringing in people in large numbers to eat together, to drink together. In fact, there are some communities that even drink from the same calabash or from the same cup, you know, simultaneously. You know, but these are all sins that are in breach of the COVID-19 protocol. So what do? We developed messaging, you know, that was that were in the languages of such communities, and the pictorial messages in the languages of that communities, that yes, COVID-19 is not is even though it is an onslaught on our culture, even though it is devastated a lot of our traditions, but we have an issue. The issue is staying alive, first as individual, and by so doing also making sure that we do not afflict others. I may be lucky to contact the disease and come out of it, but if I contact the disease and in the process I also infect another person, that other person might not be lucky to come out of it. So the issue therefore is, like I keep emphasizing, We are just like pastors and the imam, emphasizing on the same thing. Take personal responsibility. Individuals take personal responsibility. Groups develop your own means and ways by which you can make your members to also take responsibility.
So far, what will Noah describe as the most effective mediums and platforms that you have been communicating with?
Traditional rulers, religious leaders, civil society, and our own, of course, we are not as much getting the cooperation as we would have needed in quite a number of the subnational units.
And what are you doing about that?
Oh, well, we continue to engage. We continue to engage until, you know, in many states there are some states that have done their own COVID-19 committees. Many to the exclusion of the National Orientation Agency, but we will dose our way into them, and they saw later when they saw the efficacy of our messaging strategies. They actually co-opted, and in some they even put us as the frontliners. You know, so we are as much as the frontliners in risk communication as the medical personnel. You know, because we go to nooks and the crannies. Now, the other most important efficacy is what we call the town crier model. The town crier model. What do we do? Like when I say we speak all Nigerian languages, this is precisely what we do. You know, community mobilization officers go to the villages on market days with their masks, with their handheld loudspeakers, engaging with the people in the language to make them believe about the disease. You see, the issue is there are so many narratives that need to be countered. When the first index case was reported, and then subsequently, the narrative was, this is a disease that was important. And of course it was an important disease in Nigeria. The first index case came from, I think from Italy or somewhere, or it was at least in Italian. You know? So, the rural folk will say, what? If this is a disease that is imported from Europe or from America or from UAE, then what has that got to do with me? Then we started saying incidences of affliction by prominent personalities, fatalities, prominent personalities. Again, the rural folks. Well, this is a disease of the rich. These are people who enter aircraft. When did I ever see an aircraft talk less of even entering aircraft to catch a disease? And it is a disease of the rich people who travel to Europe. Oh no, it is a disease of big people in government. No, it is a disease of big time businessmen that travel into international business. Now, that was at one point the narrative, which was sufficiently.
So how did Noah counter that?
No, that was how it was countered.
By
through the consistent messaging
of the town crier.
Of course, the consistent messaging. You see, the issue is don't isolate Noah alone. You know, don't isolate Noah alone. The NTA that provided us with all the platform. I have appeared with the Minister of Health here. I have appeared with the Minister of Information as on your platform. I have appeared with the Director General of the Center for Disease Control. I have appeared with the Minister again of Health. I have Noah has partners, you know, and we said that it is the cumulative effort. It's the cumulative effort of Ministry of Information through its agencies, NTA, FRCN, VON, the National Orientation Agency, you know, the state media organizations that have succeeded cumulatively in creating the awareness that I said on the scale of 1 to 10, we have achieved 95%.
Okay, so let's look at you have your strong collaborations from all sectors. What about technical support in terms of funding? Because if you're reaching out consistently, there will be terms for logistics, there will be means where you have to spend to get results.
There is none. I hope it still comes because it is so late. But at the moment, there is none.
So how do you do it?
Exactly. What will you need now? Because PTF is talking about intensifying messaging and consultation.
Yeah, well,
so as you begin to intensify messaging and consultations, what will you need in terms of logistics? And
beyond what we get from the Orthodox budget line, we have not received anything yet. Beyond what we receive on the Orthodox budget line. But these are unusual times. We need unusual not unusual funding, but we need extra funding to be able to carry out the mandate. But then, we just don't sit down with our arms akimbo and say, well, because money has not come, we cannot do work. You, the NTA, can be a witness. You have aired so many of my jingles that have been produced through partnership. I don't have the money. Government has not given me the money, but I had to go out and look for partners. These partners are happy to come and see me partnering because when they partner, when they see no one, they see government. So the further I am the one partnering with them, they are willing to come. They develop the jingles. I give them content. They develop it, and you people have helped me to air it. Even if I have not been able to pay you, and of course you are owing me a lot of money. You know, I keep telling Yakubu that please bear with me, my brother. When I get the money, I will pay you. But I also need these jingles aired. And
do you engage private sectors? Because there may be people, because it's a problem of the country. So everybody has keyed in one way or the other.
Yeah, whoever is willing to come, we go out. We go out. So many
Are
partners.
you sorting it?
So many. We go out. Otherwise, you don't have sing the jingles. You know, we go out. We see. I know you know. I have done that with the CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development. In fact, in their own case, apart from supporting the jingles and paying for them, even though we give the content, we have also a dedicated fact check every day. A fact check on COVID-19 with CDD. Every day you go to our social media, you see our fact check on COVID-19, bringing out the information, you know, real time as well. Two, we have recently been partnered with FLAC, the Policy and Legislative Advocacy Center, you know, that has assisted us a great deal in our town crier mobilization, and they actually funded 19 states. 19 states. They funded 19 states for 3 weeks. They funded 19 states for 3 weeks, you know, where town criers go to the nooks and the crannies to take information. You know, they hired buses for them. They fed fuel. They fueled the vehicles. They also are supported by giving small token to our community mobilization officers. We have partnered with the Akimpaide Foundation, which was sponsored by MacArthur Foundation, and the NTA actually had done quite a lot. For almost 3 months or thereabout, that jingles in different types have been there. Now, in Plateau State, for example, in Southeast Nigeria, UNICEF has succeeded in giving us quite a number of support. How? Not monetary. We gave content. They paid for them, and because of the uniformity of the language, you know, it was quite easy, you know, to use all the jingles in Igbo, you know, and we use them in all the 5 states of the Southeast. So we are working literally from what barehanded, but we are happy that
now the education sector has been opened up. The transport sector has been opened up. Schools are reopening because of the critical examinations that have been taken, and of course the skeletal services in air travels and railways are also beginning. What strategy is NOAA and other collaborators are you going to use to communicate to these specialized groups?
Well, first and foremost, on the opening of schools, we are in almost every school that is opening with our community mobilization offices. And if you visit the NOAA website and you click on any state, you know, or you go to our Instagram pages and you click and you see what the NOAA is doing with the respective ministries of education in the states, you know, by way of taking the messages to the children on the prevention protocols. Now, this is what is happening as far as education sector is concerned. It is much easier with the air travels because it is not covering the whole country. So the points of contact is very small. Even the airports, not all of them are open. You know, but for those that are open, at least if you go to our Twitter handle, even as recently as yesterday, you must have seen, if you are following me on Twitter, you must have seen my tweets, you know, on what to do at the airport, you know, when for those that are, because we say as the economy is picking up, so it's also air travel. But when you get to the airport, these are what you do. So what we did was actually to take the slide issued by the World Health Organization, authenticated by the Center for Disease Control, and that's what we have been planting on all our platforms. So I think these are some of the issues. Even for the railways, it is something, you know. Kaduna, Abuja, or if you go to either the Kubwa or the Regasa or the other end here in Abuja, you can see the messaging, and of course it is all the ones that have been endorsed by the National Center for Disease Control that we are convening.
What about campaigns? Because the polls are here. What collaboration do you have in place at this moment with INEC because of gathering, social distancing and all of that? We have seen some campaigns.
We are a member of the ICCAS, and only yesterday we sent out our jingles to Edo and to Ondo states. To Ondo, because we have to do two different jingles. Because the Ondo Yoruba, there are certain part of the Ondo, you know, whose Yoruba is actually something that. So we asked them to do it, the Ilaje side. We asked them to do their own jingles, you know, and they bring to us for betting, and then we will send it. The protocol is the same that INEC is given. Ours is to follow the politicians. Sadly, and like we keep saying, if you see the way the campaigns are going, they are totally in breach of the COVID-19 protocols. Sadly. But still, not for lack of awareness of the dangers. So
what can NOAA do?
Keep talking. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it and making people to realize that they must have to take personal responsibility. And you see, the issue, Mohammed, is for as long as we don't take personal responsibility and we say we are going to allow everything to government alone to do, then definitely we will not see as much effect of the campaign against COVID-19 as we would want to see. That's the point. And that's why we say, like the pastors and like the imams, we must keep saying, please take personal responsibility, protect yourself. But beyond self-protection is protection, guaranteeing protection for the other person. But that's what we are seeing. Then you ask the question, is it out of ignorance about the nature of the disease? No. Because on a scale of 9 to 10, 95% of Nigerians are aware of the disease and its dangers and its realities.
Dr. Garba Abari, Director General of National Orientation Agency. It's been nice talking to you on the NOAA's mandates to communicate government policy and programs, and of course to communicate risks of COVID-19 and also engage the community very well to contain the virus. Thank you so much for coming to our studios.
Well, pleasure. Thank you.
Ruth Ogwele, once again, thank you for assisting all the time. In the last 50 minutes, we've been talking with Dr. Garba Abari, National Orientation Agency. Our focus was NOAA, risk communication and community engagement against COVID-19. That's Platform. I'm Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.